Ladies and gentlemen, in the journey of life, we all experience desires. We desire success, peace, purpose, and yes, love. But not all desires are created equal. Some come from within, shaped by our human experiences and emotions. Others, however, come from a place far deeper, guided by the Creator Himself. Today, I want to talk to you about how to discern whether the desire you have for someone is from God or whether it's simply coming from your own heart. Now, it's important to understand that God, in His infinite wisdom, has a purpose for everything He does. His desires for your life are not random. They are intentional. They are purposeful. And yes, they are life-giving. So how can you tell the difference between a desire that is born from God's will and one that originates from your own fleeting emotions? When God places a desire in your heart for someone, it will always align with His greater purpose for your life. You see, God doesn't do things haphazardly. His plan for your life is masterfully designed, and everything He does flows out of that divine blueprint. A desire for someone that is truly from God will not lead you away from your purpose, it will bring you closer to it. If the relationship aligns with God's will for your growth, His kingdom, and His glory, then you can be confident that it's from Him. Peace beyond understanding. The second sign is peace. Not just any peace, but a peace that surpasses all understanding. When God places a desire in your heart, you won't be troubled or torn. Yes, there may be challenges ahead, but deep within you will sense that peace that can only come from knowing you're in the center of His will. In the midst of uncertainty, His peace guards your heart and mind. The moment you begin to feel anxious or restless, it's a signal that you may need to realign your desires with God's will. A divine desire always leads to transformation, not just temporary fulfillment. If the desire you feel for someone is truly from God, it will lead to both of you growing in character and purpose. You will both become better versions of yourselves, not because of your own selfish needs, but because God is using that relationship to refine you, to purify you, and to help you fulfill your ultimate calling. When the desire is rooted in selfish ambition, it leads to selfishness. But when it is rooted in God's purpose, it leads to mutual growth and selflessness. Now, this is the most subtle yet powerful sign. God speaks to us not only through our minds, but through our spirits. And when you're walking in His will, you will sense an inner confirmation and assurance in your spirit that this is the direction He is guiding you. It's not just about how the person makes you feel. It's about the quiet assurance, the knowing that God is orchestrating something beautiful. It's a confirmation that God is in it, even if you can't see all the details yet. Another critical sign is that God's desires for relationships are never about self-fulfillment. Instead, they empower you to serve. A relationship that is from God will always bring you both closer to His purpose to serve Him, to grow His kingdom, to fulfill your shared calling. If the relationship you desire makes you want to draw closer to God, serve Him more, and fulfill His mission in the earth, then it is a clear sign that God is at work. True divine desire will always lead you toward righteousness, not away from it. God's desires for your life will never cause you to compromise His principles. If your desire for someone begins to lead you into temptation or causes you to question your values, it's time to step back and assess whether that desire is truly from God. His desires will always lead to purity, integrity, and holiness. If it leads to compromise, then it's a sign that the source is not divine. So in conclusion, I encourage you today to reflect on the desires in your heart. Are they aligned with God's purpose? Do they bring you peace? Do they lead to transformation and growth? Are they empowering you to serve and build His kingdom? And most importantly, do they draw you closer to righteousness? When you can answer yes to these questions, you can be confident that your desire is from God and not just your own fleeting emotions. Remember, desires are powerful. They shape your future. Let them be aligned with God's will, and watch as He brings His divine purpose to life in your relationships. When we speak of divine alignment, we are referring to the profound truth that God's plans for our lives are always purposeful, intentional, and perfectly timed. Everything he orchestrates fits within the larger tapestry of his divine will. It's essential to understand that God doesn't act on a whim or in isolation. Every desire he places in your heart is aligned with his overarching plan for your life. When a desire for someone is truly from God, it is not disconnected from the greater vision he has for you. Rather, it complements and supports that vision, guiding you toward your destiny. Many times we may feel drawn to someone, but it's essential to ask, does this desire align with God's purpose for my life? Does it lead me toward becoming the person he has called me to be? God's plan for you is not just about fulfilling your desires for companionship or love, but about shaping your character, expanding your influence, and preparing you for greater things. When a desire is from God, it doesn't just serve your emotional needs in the present, it works within the scope of his long-term plan for your life. His desires lead you toward the fulfillment of his purpose, both for you and for those around you. The alignment of God's will with your desires will be evident in how that desire unfolds in your life. It won't lead you away from your purpose or create division or confusion. Instead, it will draw you closer to your true calling. And you will notice that the person you desire or the relationship you pursue helps to sharpen and refine your character. God's alignment never brings disarray, it brings clarity and a sense of peace. You will know deep down in your spirit that the desire you feel is not merely your own, but is part of a higher plan that God is unfolding before you. When your desires are aligned with God's will, they won't force you into directions that disrupt your purpose. Instead, they lead to greater opportunities to live out the plan he has uniquely designed for you. You'll find that your relationship with that person is not just about companionship, but about working together to bring about God's vision. Every step you take will reinforce the truth that God is at the center, and his plan for both of you is unfolding in a way that honors him and fulfills his purpose. This divine alignment is a beautiful, seamless integration of your desires and God's greater will, bringing you peace, confidence, and a deeper connection to your divine calling. When a desire is truly from God, one of the most profound signs you will experience is a deep, unwavering peace that surpasses understanding. It's a peace that doesn't rely on the outward circumstances, and it isn't based on how you feel in the moment. Instead, it's an inner calm that comes from knowing, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that you are in the center of God's will. This peace is unlike anything the world can offer, because it transcends human logic and reasoning. In our human experience, we often equate peace with external conditions being favorable when everything aligns the way we want it to. But divine peace is different. It doesn't depend on the external factors of a situation. You may not have all the answers, and the future may seem uncertain. Yet within you, there is a stillness and assurance that God is in control. This peace settles your heart and mind, quieting the noise of doubt, fear, and anxiety. Even in the midst of challenges or uncertainties, you sense that God is guiding you, and that assurance grants you a peace that the world cannot comprehend. This peace is a confirmation that you are walking in harmony with God's will. Even when there is external turmoil, when you are faced with decisions that require faith and trust, the peace of God will reassure you. It's a deep knowing that despite the storm outside, there is a quiet certainty within that God is leading you down the right path. This peace is a sign that the desire in your heart, whether for a person or a relationship, is not based on fleeting emotions or personal agenda, but is rooted in divine guidance. It's important to recognize that this peace doesn't always mean that things will be easy or without difficulty. God's peace is not a promise of a smooth journey, but it is a promise that he will walk with you through whatever comes. There will still be moments of challenge, moments where the future may seem unclear, but in those moments, his peace will anchor your heart. This peace will help you remain calm and steady, even when the world around you feels chaotic or unpredictable. It reminds you that God's presence is with you and his purpose is unfolding, even if you cannot see all the details right now. This peace is not based on your own strength, but on the assurance that God is leading you. It is a peace that is rooted in faith, trust, and a deep confidence that God's plan is far greater than any fear or uncertainty you might experience. When your desires align with God's will, that peace becomes a guiding force, allowing you to move forward with confidence, knowing that no matter what challenges may arise, God is with you and his plan for you is good. When a desire for someone comes from God, it always leads to transformation, not selfish gain. This is one of the most powerful signs that the desire in your heart is divinely inspired. Human desires are often driven by selfish motives, seeking personal satisfaction, validation, or comfort. We may desire relationships to fill a gap, alleviate loneliness, or enhance our status. However, when God places a desire in your heart, it transforms you in ways that extend far beyond immediate gratification. Divine desire is rooted in love, and love, as defined by God, is not self-serving but self-giving. True love seeks the good of the other person, not just your own desires. It compels you to put their needs above your own, to build them up, and to help them become the best version of themselves. When a desire for someone is from God, it encourages mutual growth. The relationship is not about using the other person to meet your emotional needs, but about walking together toward a higher purpose, refining each other, and fulfilling God's plan for both of your lives. You begin to notice changes within yourself when God's desire takes root. Instead of approaching the relationship with an attitude of what can I get from this, you shift toward how can I serve and support this person. This transformation is a work of God in your life, where he moves you from selfishness to selflessness, from immaturity to spiritual maturity. In this divine transformation, your character is refined, your heart is softened, and your understanding of love grows deeper. Moreover, the desire from God doesn't just transform your behavior, it transforms your entire perspective. You begin to see the other person not just through the lens of your needs and desires, but as someone created in God's image with their own purpose, dreams, and calling. When a relationship is grounded in God's will, it becomes a partnership in purpose, where both people encourage each other toward greater spiritual growth, personal development, and a deeper walk with God. God's desire in a relationship also helps you grow in humility. Rather than focusing on your own benefit, you are increasingly focused on the welfare of the other person. This shift away from self-centeredness is a clear indicator that desire is not born out of your own emotions or selfish tendencies, but is a reflection of God's love and his purpose for the relationship. When a desire is from God, it aligns with his plan for your life, and part of that plan is always to shape you into someone who reflects his character. Transformation over selfish gain is a continual process of growth, where your desire leads to a greater understanding of God's love and a more mature, Christ-like approach to the relationship. It's about becoming more like Jesus, selflessly loving, sacrificial, and always seeking the best for the other person. This is how you know that your desire is not just about fulfilling your own wants, but about growing together with someone as you both fulfill God's higher purpose. Information in your spirit is one of the most profound and unmistakable ways God affirms his will in your life, especially when it comes to desires, including those for relationships. It's a quiet, inner knowing, a peace that doesn't come from external validation, circumstances, or even emotional excitement, but from the deep, quiet assurance within your heart that God is guiding you. This confirmation is not based on surface level feelings or temporary circumstances. It is a deep, unshakable sense that resonates in your spirit that this desire aligns with God's plan for your life. When God places a desire in your heart, especially for someone, you will often experience this inner confirmation. It's like an inner witness that tells you this is right. This is the path I am leading you on. It's not something that can always be explained or logically justified. It doesn't always come with perfect clarity or understanding of how things will unfold, but it is a knowing that even in the midst of uncertainty, God is in it. This confirmation may come through prayer, a deep sense of peace during times of reflection, or even through scripture that speaks directly to your situation. This internal confirmation goes beyond emotional attraction or infatuation. It is something that resonates deep within your spirit, aligning your desires with God's purpose. Often when a desire is truly from God, it doesn't stir up confusion or inner conflict. Instead, it brings clarity. Even when external circumstances are unclear or difficult, the confirmation in your spirit allows you to move forward with confidence, trusting that God is leading you in the right direction. You may not always have all the answers or see the full picture, but God's confirmation ensures that you are not walking alone. You can trust that the Holy Spirit who lives within you is guiding you, offering peace in times of doubt, and giving direction when you feel unsure. This confirmation serves as a reminder that you are not driven by your own desires alone, but are responding to a divine calling and purpose. What makes this confirmation so powerful is that it doesn't depend on external factors or how the other person responds. It's not about whether the circumstances around the relationship are perfect or whether the timing is flawless. It's about that quiet assurance in your spirit that God is in it and that His plan is unfolding, even if you can't see every detail. This confirmation helps you navigate the complexities of life, providing the trust needed to move forward in faith, even when there are obstacles or moments of uncertainty. This inner confirmation is often accompanied by a sense of responsibility. As God confirms His will in your heart, He also equips you with the strength and wisdom to move forward with the relationship in a way that honors Him. It's not just about what you want or how you feel, but about embracing the higher calling that God has placed on both of your lives. This confirmation brings a sense of divine partnership, where both individuals, despite challenges or trials, remain committed to fulfilling God's purpose for their lives. In the end, confirmation in your spirit is not about seeking perfection, but about aligning your desires with God's perfect will. When you sense this confirmation, it becomes an anchor for your heart, allowing you to trust in God's timing, His plan, and His sovereignty over your life and relationships. It provides a foundation for moving forward, confident that God is guiding your steps and that this desire is a part of His divine plan for your life. When a desire for someone is truly from God, it will always lead to empowerment for service. God does not place desires in our hearts for our personal gain or to fulfill selfish ambitions. Rather, His desires align with His larger plan to build His kingdom and serve others. This means that when God places a desire for a relationship in your heart, it is not about mere companionship or emotional fulfillment. It is about how that relationship will empower both individuals to serve God and others in greater ways. It becomes a partnership in purpose, a divine collaboration where both people are strengthened and equipped to fulfill God's calling in the world. When you experience divine empowerment for service, you start to recognize that the relationship is not just for your own benefit. You begin to see it as an opportunity to partner with God in His work, whether that means serving together in ministry, helping others, or growing in ways that bring glory to Him. God's desire for you and someone else is designed to increase your capacity to love, serve, and build up the people around you. When the relationship is rooted in God's will, both of you are empowered to serve one another and to serve the world using your unique gifts, talents, and resources for His glory. The desire to serve becomes central to the relationship when it is from God. It shifts the focus from what you can get from the other person to what you can give. This selflessness mirrors the love that God demonstrates for us. The relationship encourages both individuals to develop spiritually, not just for personal growth, but for the benefit of others as well. You begin to support one another in a way that builds each other up, challenges each other to grow, and motivates each other to step into the calling that God has placed on both your lives. The desire to serve is mutual, and the more you serve, the more you grow together in your shared purpose. This empowerment also means that both individuals are strengthened to carry out God's work in the world. Instead of being focused solely on personal desires, both people are led by a sense of responsibility to others. It's about supporting one another in ministry and in the things that matter most to God. Whether that means working together to serve in your church, supporting each other in charitable endeavors, or simply living out your faith in everyday life, the relationship empowers both of you to be more effective servants in the kingdom of God. God's empowerment for service also goes beyond the immediate relationship. When two people are in alignment with God's plan for their relationship, the fruits of their service extend beyond themselves. Their partnership has a ripple effect, influencing others and impacting communities as they bring God's love, grace, and wisdom into the world. This is the beauty of relationships that are centered on God's will. They are not just about the individuals involved, but about the larger impact they can have on the world around them. When a desire for someone is truly from God, it will always lead you toward righteousness, not away from it. This is one of the clearest ways to distinguish between a divine desire and a selfish or worldly one. God's desires for us are always in line with His holiness, His truth, and His standards. When you find yourself desiring someone in a way that aligns with God's will, that desire will always lead you closer to his righteousness, encouraging you to live in accordance with his principles and walk in purity. The desire for righteousness shapes the way you approach the relationship. If the desire you feel leads you to compromise on your values or walk down a path of temptation, then it is not from God. Divine desires will always draw you closer to God, encouraging you to reflect his character more fully in your relationships. This means that when you desire someone in a way that is truly from God, that desire will push you toward purity in your thoughts, words, and actions. You will not be led into situations that tempt you to sin, but rather you will feel an increasing desire to uphold God's standards of holiness and integrity in all that you do. God's desire for relationships is always grounded in righteousness. This means that when you pursue someone with a heart aligned with his will, it won't just be about the emotions or attractions you feel in the moment. It will be about building a relationship that honors God, respects the sanctity of marriage, and maintains the integrity of your faith. When your desire for someone is rooted in righteousness, it motivates you to protect both your heart and the heart of the other person, ensuring that the relationship remains pure and reflects the love and respect that God has for each of us. Furthermore, the desire for righteousness doesn't just pertain to actions, it pertains to your heart. It is easy to become swept up in emotional attraction or the excitement of a relationship, but true divine desire keeps your heart aligned with God's will. It causes you to constantly examine your intentions, making sure that your motivations are pure and your actions are consistent with God's word. It challenges you to rise above the desires of the flesh and focus on what is true, pure, and good. This ongoing pursuit of righteousness transforms not only your relationship but also your character, helping you to grow in spiritual maturity and godliness. God's desire for righteousness also creates a longing to see the other person grow in righteousness as well. It's not just about how the relationship makes you feel or what you can gain from it, but about helping each other grow spiritually. When God places a desire in your heart for someone, it will always lead you to encourage that person to walk closer with him, to become more like Christ, and to live in a way that reflects his righteousness. It turns the relationship into a partnership in the pursuit of holiness, where both individuals support each other in their walk with God, always striving to live in a way that pleases him. In conclusion, when the desire for someone is truly from God, it is marked by divine alignment, inner peace, transformation, and a deep commitment to righteousness. It is not driven by selfishness or fleeting emotions, but rather by a higher purpose that honors God and leads both individuals toward greater spiritual growth and service. This desire empowers both people to live in accordance with God's will, to serve others, and to reflect his love and truth in all that they do. Ultimately, desire rooted in God's purpose brings a deep sense of fulfillment, not through personal gain, but through a shared journey of growing closer to him. It is a reminder that our relationships are not merely for our own satisfaction, but for the fulfillment of God's greater plan. May we always seek his guidance, ensuring that our desires align with his will, and trust that in doing so, he will lead us toward the life he has purposefully designed for us.